Hello, my dear students. A very warm welcome back to the channel. I know, exams are just around the corner and the stress is probably piling up. But listen to me, tension mat lo. Just take a nice deep breath. We are going to crack this chapter, My Three Passions, by the great Bertrand Russell together. By the end of this, you'll be so clear on it, I promise. But first, let me ask you a quick question. What is it that really drives you in life? Seriously, think about it for a second. Is it getting those amazing marks? Or, maybe becoming a huge YouTuber? Or, hey, maybe it's about making a whole lot of money, like 1 crore rupees. What's your big goal? Well, the man we're talking about today, he was a total rock star thinker, and he actually figured out the answer to this very question for his own life. So let's meet the genius himself, Bertrand Russell. So who was this Bertrand Russell? Well, he wasn't just your average guy. He was a British philosopher, which basically means he was a super deep thinker. On top of that, he was a brilliant mathematician, a total genius with numbers, and as if that wasn't enough, he even won a Nobel Prize for literature. Can you believe it? What an absolute all-rounder. So you must be wondering, what was this genius's big secret to life? Well, he breaks it down for us, and it's surprisingly simple. His entire life was guided by just 3 passions. Now, don't let the word simple fool you. These passions were incredibly strong. Okay, so his first passion, the one he mentions right at the start, was love. And for Russell, love wasn't just a feeling. It was this huge, powerful force that could change everything. Let's see why it was so very important to him. Listen to the word he uses here, ecstasy. That's not just being happy, okay? That's like the highest level of joy you can possibly imagine. He says that this feeling was so incredible, so powerful, that he would have traded his entire life just for a few hours of it. Wow, that's how much it meant to him. So for your exam, you have to remember these 3 big reasons why he searched for love. 1, it brings that ultimate joy, that ecstasy we just talked about. 2, it relieves the terrible feeling of loneliness that he says all of us feel sometimes. And 3, he believed that love gave him a small preview, just a little glimpse of what heaven might be like. Got it? Joy, no loneliness, and a peek into heaven. Easy. Moving on to passion number 2, and this is something you all can relate to right now. His second great passion was the quest for knowledge. Just like you are all trying to gain knowledge for your exams, Russell had a lifelong hunger to understand things. But see, his search for knowledge wasn't just about books or formulas. He was curious about the big stuff. He wanted to understand people. What makes us tick, why we feel the things we do. And he wanted to understand the universe itself, what makes the stars shine up there in the sky. So we can break his quest for knowledge into 3 parts. First, he wanted to understand people. Second, he wanted to understand the secrets of the universe. And third, he wanted to understand what he calls Pythagorean power. Now, don't get scared by that big name. It's just his fancy way of saying he wanted to understand the absolute magic of mathematics. Okay, now here's where the story gets really interesting. Think about it like this. His first 2 passions, love and knowledge, they were like these huge wings that lifted him up, way up towards the heavens, towards beautiful and perfect things. But there was a third passion, a completely different kind of force that always pulled him back down to earth. And that third, grounding passion was what he called an unbearable pity for the suffering of mankind. It was this deep, overwhelming sadness for all the pain and suffering he saw in the world. This is what kept his feet firmly on the ground. This quote really shows you how much he felt it. He says the cries of pain from people who were suffering weren't just something he heard. They were like echoes that bounced around inside his own heart. He couldn't escape it. The pain of the world became his own pain. And what kind of suffering are we talking about? We're talking about very real, very painful things. Starving children, people being tortured by others, helpless old people with no one to care for them. He saw all the loneliness, the poverty, and the pain in the world, and this pity is what made him such a famous activist who fought against war and injustice. So while love and knowledge pulled him up, the reality of this suffering always brought him back down. All right, my dear students, it's time. Get your notebooks and pens ready. This is your special exam prep corner. The next couple of questions are super important, so let's make sure we understand them perfectly to get those full marks. So here's a question that comes up all the time. Why does Bertrand Russell compare his three passions to great winds? What's the meaning behind that comparison? Right, think about a really strong wind. Can you control it? No way. It just blows you wherever it wants. That's exactly why he uses this comparison. His passions were so powerful, so overwhelming, that he couldn't control them. They blew him all over the place, in unpredictable directions. And sometimes they even blew him into very difficult situations, which he calls a deep ocean of anguish. So they were powerful, uncontrollable, and unpredictable. Okay, next, very important question. We talked about this a little bit before. Why is it that pity is the passion that brings him back to earth, while love and knowledge lift him up towards the heavens? The answer is actually very, very simple, so don't make it complicated in your exam. Love and knowledge, they are about perfect, beautiful, ideal things. They are heavenly concepts, right? So they lift your spirit up. But pity is all about the real, messy, painful suffering of actual human beings living on earth. It forces you to look at reality. And that's what pulls you back down. So, after a whole life of being tossed around by these powerful passions, what was his final conclusion? He says this has been my life. I have found it worth living. He had absolutely no regrets. In fact, he found so much meaning and value in this life that he would gladly live it all over again if he had the chance. And now, one last thing for you to think about, a little food for thought for my brilliant students. Your textbook also talks about a concept called agape love, which means a selfless love for all of humanity. So how do you think Russell's passion for pity is similar to that idea of agape? It's a fantastic point to think about for those higher marks. Do think about that and let me know your brilliant thoughts in the comments below. I always love to read what you have to say. And of course, if this helped you understand the chapter better, please don't forget to hit that like button, share this with all your friends, and subscribe for more chapters. All the very, very best for your exams, my dear students. You are going to do great.